Hey, what's up guys? As you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to show you how to install all of this into your 04 to 08 Ford F-150. So what I've got here is a backup camera, and it's mounted in this OEM styled tailgate handle. What I have here is a front facing camera. Right here I've got the actual head unit itself. It is a Kenwood DMX 7704S. This is the wiring harness that's for the Kenwood. That is going to get paired with this wiring harness, which will connect to the truck itself, and it's a factory connector. This is the dash kit that's going to hold the head unit inside the console. Here I've got the iDataLink Maestro steering wheel control interface, and this is going to basically allow me to keep my steering wheel controls, the volume up and down, and the seat with this head unit. Over here I've got the aux jack adapter that will allow me to keep the factory auxiliary input that comes standard on the F-150, and this also goes along with that. Over here I've got the USB ports that I'm going to add to the truck. These are going to be for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or just plugging in your phone to charge, whatever. And over here, lastly, I've got a little bit of fabric tape that's going to go on my wiring harness to make it look a little cleaner, a little more factory looking. Hopefully I've got everything I need here. If I don't, you guys will find out later on in the video. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I've already disconnected the battery. Anytime you're working with radio head units like this or anything electronic, you want to make sure you undo that battery so that you don't short out anything in the process of doing whatever you're doing. So we're going to go ahead and start off by removing this centerpiece right here that surrounds the radio. And to do that, we're going to first pop open this tray, and we're going to start prying up on this. It does just pop out, but it may take you a few minutes to get it undone. Like that. And then just pull out on that, like that. I want to do this gently as to not break anything, but we're going to have to do it pretty firm to get it off. Alright, off it goes. There's going to be your airbag light up here that you'll need to unplug. And then you can just rotate this out of the way like so, carefully so that you don't scratch anything. You can disconnect these air conditioning unit controls if you want. I'm probably not going to. So next, to remove the radio, we're going to need a 7mm socket, and you're going to remove these 4 bolts here. Careful, you don't want to lose these in your dash. Alright, and once you've taken those 4 screws out, you can then slide the radio out. And behind the radio you'll have 3 different connectors. You'll have 2 multi-pin connectors and an antenna plug. And just take the radio out. And now we're going to inspect our harness to make sure The one that we were sent will fit on the factory harness. This is the factory end that's going to connect to our head unit side. We're going to solder those, but before we do, we need to make sure it fits, which it does. So now we're going to go ahead and solder all these to the head unit's harness. So I ran into a bit of a snag here. Apparently the Maestro harness does not come with 2 pins that are needed to connect the Maestro steering wheel control box, which I have here. A couple of the wires off of this, which plugs into the side of the Maestro here, need to connect to this harness, and Maestro does not supply the pins for that. So what I had to do was go to Best Buy and buy another Maestro harness, and I've removed the 3 pins. I really only need 2 of them. What I'm going to do with these is just put them in to this harness, and then I will solder the wires that I need from the Maestro box onto these. So that's the plan. And on this light green wire here, it's a parking switch wire. On this particular head unit, you can just ground this out. I'm not quite sure if I'm just going to ground it to this black wire or if I'm just going to ground it to the head unit itself or the car. But any of those should work, and basically this will just make your head unit to where it will be able to control it while you're driving instead of only when you're in park. And this purple and white wire is going to be used for my reverse trigger wire. So this is going to tell the head unit that the vehicle is in reverse and to display the backup camera. These 2 wires are for the dash camera support, which is in this head unit. I'm not going to use these. So let's go ahead and move on to the steering wheel harness. So here's the iDataLink Maestro steering wheel control, and what we're going to do here is we're going to flash this module with the steering wheel controls that we're going to program here. And to do that, we're going to go to the Maestro Data Link website. Then I'm going to plug in the Maestro box itself. It does come with a USB cable to connect it to your computer if you don't already have one. Then I'm going to go over here to the corner and click Flash for your module. It's going to detect my Maestro. And then I'm going to flash by vehicle. So I'm going to choose my vehicle, which is a 2007 Ford F-150. And it's going to show you a picture of your steering wheel. Choose whichever one is the correct one for your car. This one is the correct one for mine. So I'm going to hit confirm. Then you're going to select which radio you're using. I'm going to be using the Kenwood DMX 7704S, which is right there. I'm going to retain the steering wheel controls. Click next. And now here's going to be where we're going to be able to map our steering wheel controls. This column right here is for what happens when you press the button once. So for the volume up button, it's going to go up in volume if you just press it once. Volume down is going to go down in volume. Seek up is going to go track up. And I'm going to use this button here for track down. And these are all the different options you can choose. For press and hold, in this column I'm going to use the Siri voice. Volume down I'm going to use for mute if I hold it down. For the seek up I'm going to use band up, and then seek down I'm going to use band down. Alright, now I'm going to click next. After a few seconds, the module will flash, and down here it'll say flashing completed. And then down below that, there's going to be an install guide. So you go ahead and click that, and it'll open up your wiring diagram for your vehicle. So as you can see here, this is my wiring diagram for the Maestro. It's showing that I need to connect the purple and red wire to pin A18 and black and white to pin 19. And these are the two pins that were missing on the Metra wiring harness that I'm going to need to add. It's also showing that red wire needs to go to, of course, your accessory wire, which is your 12 volt, and the black goes to ground. I also need to connect the blue and yellow wire to the blue and yellow wire on the Kenwood harness. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got these two wires here. I pulled these out of another harness. I'm going to connect the blue one to the purple and red. And I'm going to connect the black and white one to the orange. These are going to go into the pins A18 and 19. Here I've already attached the blue and yellow wire to my Kenwood harness from the Maestro box. And I'm going to hook up my power for the Maestro box to the red wire here. And I'm going to hook up the ground to the ground. So according to my wiring diagram, the purple and red wire, which is this one, is going to go into pin A18. This one's 20, this one's 19, this one's 18. It's going to go into that pin. And then the black and white one, which is this one, is going to go into A19. Another snag I had was the connector that's supposed to allow me to retain my aux port from the factory. It doesn't work, so I had to go to a junkyard and get a new connector, and I'll show you guys how I wire that up. Okay, so this is the connector that I picked up from the junkyard. This is going to allow me to keep my auxiliary port right here on the F150, and it's going to allow me to use it with the Kenwood head unit. I'm going to have to do a little bit of modifying to this because the adapter that I was sent don't know, I may have gotten the wrong one or something, but the connector was totally different than this one. So all we're going to need to do is I went ahead and cut the connector off. There was a 4-pin connector. Now I'm going to plug the line in part into the port. And I've already stripped back the wires on the connector that came from the junkyard. You can also use the connector that's in your truck already or your car if you want, but I wanted to keep my factory harness intact, so I just picked up one of these from a junkyard. So I'm going to connect this into the aux port, like so. Now you're going to need a multimeter. This is just one of the free ones from Harbor Freight. And on the ohms section here, I have it set to 200. And as you can see, it's showing a 1 right here. What I'm testing for is continuity. So when you connect these two together, that creates a circuit. And as you can tell, it's being shorted out, so there is no resistance. And that 0 is what you're looking for. What we're going to do is we're going to test these wires that are coming off the ends. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this green and white one here. And as you can see, it's showing 1. I'm going to touch it to a black ground. As you can tell, it went down to 0. If I go to the red and white and touch the black again, it goes down to 0. So the red and white and the green and white on this are both ground. So I've got the red and black and the white wire connected. As you can see, it's still 1. That means this is not the correct wire. So now I'm going to grab the green and black one. And as you can tell, it went down to 0, so that's correct. And when you get these complete circuits like that, those are the 2 wires you're going to solder together to make your connection. So in this case, the green and black is going to go with the white. Red and white is going to go to a black. Green and white is going to go to a black. And red and black is going to go to the red. I'm going to solder these connectors together. And then once I do that, I will have a working auxiliary port. Now it's time to put the Maestro dash kit together. Basically, I've already done this, but how this goes together is take your piece like this, notch on the surround goes on the top, put these tabs through these holes, like that, and then bend it backwards. On mine, I did have to sand these tabs down a little bit. The edges were a little too rough and it wouldn't allow it to bend. But after doing that, it works just fine. Then you want to take your head unit and it goes like that. Put your screws in their side and you're ready to mount it. we've got our completed wiring harness for the head unit. We're going to go ahead and start putting things back together. This is a GPS antenna that comes with the kit. What I'm going to do is just stick it right up here on the top there, on this metal, and we'll see how that works. Wipe it up a little bit and then just stick it to it. And then we'll just run it back behind here, like so. And it's ready to be connected. You also want to run your microphone that comes with the Kenwood head unit so that you can get your voice controls. And for right now, I've just run mine through the glove box, and then I'm just going to snake it up here for the time being until I figure out where I want to actually mount it. And you'll also have your USB ports that connect to the back of the radio, and you'll want to go ahead and feed those through as well. I'm also running those through the glove box for now. Lastly, we'll want to put our aux connector back. So this is the completed aux cable that I modified. Just snaps right into this piece here. And then it goes down behind here like everything else. And then this just clips back on. Now we're going to put the radio back in. And you'll set it inside of here, like so. And you'll put your bolts back in. So this is the completed radio install. As you can see, I've got CarPlay up right now. I'm really liking it so far. So we got the HD radio. We've got Apple CarPlay, of course. We've got Sirius XM if you wanted. I didn't hook it up on this one. You can play videos and stuff from the USB. It's got Bluetooth. I got my aux port, it works. Can't tell because I don't have anything plugged into it. It's got camera. I don't have my rear camera put in yet, or my front camera. My steering wheel controls work. Now all that's left is to put on the center stack cover and clean up the dashboard, and that'll be it. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful, and stay tuned for more. I'm going to be installing the rear camera and front camera before too long, so keep an eye out for those videos. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you guys later.